Let's wait for some people to get in here. Some people are stupid. Because I definitely, you know, we're going to do this because obviously I need to do this so that it's on record and on the channel that it was done. Because I ain't going to bother with going around and giving individual fucking notices or cease and desist letters, what have you. This will serve enough. Because you can't act like you don't fucking cover and see everything on the channel. I'll start off by saying, in the past when you got to understand, we're talking about something that happened in, what was it, May, fucking on a Friday, I believe the 16th, at fucking 2016, right? We're in the year of fucking, what, 2025? Yeah, so I wonder how many people are gonna fucking remember every damn fucking thing in detail and never get anything wrong or mixed up, whatever. Especially as much times as people want to add band memory holes and shit like that. Well, okay then. So, are you trying to say that now I should have perfect recollection? Hypocrisy. Berlinetta didn't dog me out. I tried to sit there and let her talk, because if I don't, then well, I don't know about y'all or who you are, but all everybody else does will say is triggered, triggered, so I try to let her say whatever the fuck she wishes to say. Wait another second or so. I ain't gonna spend no fucking hour sitting here going over this. It's gonna be concise and I'm jumping off. Oh, Ghost, I guess. I'm gonna assume that's Ghost. An alternate channel of his, because he's sharing something. Immediately tagged me in something about and I still hadn't caught it. I need to go watch whatever the fuck that is. But supposedly now, Deadly's a fucking, he was saying, he tagged me in something saying, and you're gonna say that this isn't a pedo? I don't fucking catch everything like they do. First of all, I don't. Even though they've said, "Oh, I live on here," and da 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 da. Well, obviously I don't. And why would I have caught something on Ghost's channel when I'm not subscribed and I don't watch them? How does that make any fucking sense? I mean, honestly. The fuck is wrong with this thing? And if that's the case, whatever the fuck that is, I'll go look at it. But if it's something that, screams, alert or what have you, then why do Ghost, all of y'all, why do y'all go over there then? If y'all have stuff like whatever the fuck that post is or video that he's pointing out and saying, I mean, the dude pretty much, without directly admitting it, admitted that he pretty much gives it away that, yeah, he's okie dokie. So, you know, huh, I mean, and saying something like that is fucked up, and it doesn't make a person look good. That's for damn sure. But you could call it, I guess. You could say that it's fucking creepy and not an indication of anti fucking pedophile behavior, but does it make him officially a pedophile? I don't fucking know. I'm not an expert on it. I'm not going to comment one way or the other because whichever way I do, it'll be criticized. So what the fuck's the only thing I went up there was I saw him live and I decided, hey, I saw him the other night. Freaking say, you can't really say that he is, I mean, just on general principle, I mean, you can't tell me that anybody else, like if one of y'all was being accused or said, and somebody who you ain't get along with, you don't like, they don't like you, etc. And somebody says, I mean, how many other people, if uh, if any of y'all have been called a pedophile and you was into it with somebody, and somebody goes up on their panel, and this person that doesn't like you corrects that person, I mean, they may not be a fucking beacon of integrity as an example, but you can't say that that's not a fucking act of integrity. We don't even expect him to say something like that. Why would you if you don't fucking, like me? Why not let somebody, you know, I mean, then again, maybe he just corrected them because I don't know. He didn't want them saying it on his panel. Maybe he had a fear that I could be sued, or I don't know. I don't know. I just fucking said, hey, generally speaking, you know, that was fucking mature or whatever. All right. So, anyways, there's been a post made, and I'm not going to give the person fucking attention by indicating who they are, but it'd be pretty much easy to figure out. With the wreck and all that, made a post the other day. The people want to say that these AI things that I've shared, and you can look on there and go to the link I give you, and you can see what the question is that I asked them. I didn't say, hey, state this and create this, just make this up. No, they go through search engines. Like when you click enter and you submit the question, you see them saying thinking and checking all the sources that they check, and then they give their fucking answer. So I said, because we all have this drove, and I have too in the past, have sped, and I can't remember exactly, but if I indicated or said I was fucking speeding or whatever that day, I, I mean, you know, obviously I wasn't, because the fucking report cite that I wasn't, and that would have been noted, and all that. And they want to say, oh, the police made a mistake and didn't. No, they didn't. So just because, I don't remember everything about that day besides being let off work early, heading down the road home at 10, near 11 o'clock, somewhere in between in the morning, and that happening. I don't remember every damn thing. But obviously, speed wasn't a contributing factor. It states it in the fucking report. And then they say, oh, well, you had to have your lawyer and sign something for him to initiate. Nobody contacted a lawyer to initiate anything against the insurance. My grandfather has had a lawyer and had a lawyer that had helped with my brother out and that we'd known for a long time, the family did. And so after that happened, my grandpa, it was name insurance was his insurance. So he went to the insurance and they had told him, he said, this is pretty much cut and dry. Our agent said, but you need to get your attorney that you use or what have you to, handle it. That's generally best advised and what is recommended. So, yeah, we had an attorney just to communicate with them, but nothing had to be threatened for a lawsuit. No negotiations had to happen. They pretty much spoke with him and said, yeah, okay, well, we determined that we're going to do this. And my lawyer said, I said, that sounds acceptable. What do y'all think? He said, I got to get back with the clients first. He said, do y'all want me to? I was like, well, I mean, you know, sure. And it happened. But nobody sued an insurance or an estate. And the reason why the estate thing and the insurance gets pointed out, because not just Charlie D, but multiple different people have said the family, and then they say the insurance, then they say the family, and then they say the insurance. So that goes to show right there, not to mention the fact that they've been seen and heard before saying, it's about the reaction. It's not really about the facts of the fucking thing. Yeah. Oh, you don't think I don't remember that? Oh, because I don't have the clip right this second or what have you to show, or probably even remember where it was at. But somewhere, remember or another, uh, they were talking amongst themselves. It might not even been alive. It might have been something that was, I don't remember. I just remember that they basically, in summary, that they don't give a shit about the fucking the wreck or who it involved or any shit like that. They give a fuck solely about fucking getting to me, causing me distress over it if they can. It ain't got shit to do with uh being mournful of the other party or nothing. No matter how many times they want to come in a fucking chat and fucking, say rest in peace, whatever. It ain't got shit to do with those people. And then they've tried to say before, he refers to them as those people. He won't even, uh, because when I've said their names before, originally and talked about the fucking wreck, they said that I doxed them. So when I use a name, I'm doxing the people and and all that. When I don't use a name, well, that implicates guilt or insinuates guilt apparently, and makes me look like an impersonal, don't care about it piece of shit. So again, that goes back to my whole thing I've been saying here lately, that no matter which way or direction I go or handle things or talk about stuff, it's always wrong. You know, it's just stupid. It is absolutely 100% utterly fucking stupid. Shit. Bird is pregnant. Oh, I wonder, is it Jeans? Well, no, it can't be because they've never seen it because they don't see each other. Can you imagine dating this long, supposedly, but they've never met up? You know, Gene works. You know, people say I don't work. I work. I just don't work a lot in my gig. But Gene works, what, as electrician or something, right? And he can't. That don't really make sense. He can't afford to fucking, you know, see fucking what's her name? I mean, I don't get that. Don't make a lot of sense. Surely Gene could fucking uh, you know, fly her out or get her a bus ticket or go down there himself, drive, you know. Does he not have a car? You know what though? Those things are none of my business. I don't care about them. The only reason why they've ever been talked about by me is because of all this shit on the panel and stuff. You know, come on here to go into drama and other people and cover other people or get reactions out of them. You know, I when the stuff got figured out about Johnny and stuff, and Cammy had made her threat using Scooter, at that point, I should have recognized that, you know, like, hey, fuck this shit, you know, and given up and just stopped it, you know, and just, but no, my ass, I don't know what you would call it, but I call it partially being bored and stuck at the house because my car just went kaput. So, but I can't blame it ultimately on that. Like ultimately, it's on me because I, at least the part of being present and on here, which, you know, like I said, if I had quit, a lot of this stuff would have been avoided. But, you know, my mind at the time is thinking, you know, why do I have to quit? Why should I allow someone to run me off? You know, that's not integrity. That's not bravery. That's not, you know, standing up for yourself. You know, you get those ideas in your head. You learn about them growing up. People tell you stuff like that in different situations. And when you find yourself in a type of situation later on where people are trying to bully, run you off, what have you know, like you remember being told that by your parent or friend, whoever. And so you try to, in this new situation you find yourself in, you try to, you know, apply that. And that's what I did. And was it wrong? Not necessarily, but in the long run, you know, I think it really didn't matter like that much. So who knows? You know, I can't go back and look at that stuff. Goober, what are you talking about? Iceland's Goober will not stand at attention because it's not too. But Iceman's love child. Anyways, so look, if you want to keep defaming me to the person that made that post, because they fucking tagged me in it. I don't know why or how. I thought I had tags off. Apparently, I was going through a while ago. I saw it, clicked on it. You know, maybe I should have just ignored it. Oh well, we're here. So I looked at it, and I'm gonna say this for the last time. And I've already said that on a community post, so I'm kind of breaking. You know, make another post about it. Somebody, go ahead. You're not gonna get it. I'm gonna hold myself to it. But I figured I should do this because it needs to be official that I tell you that person, anybody else, if you want to keep calling me a murderer when I've never been charged, when I was investigated, you can say the police made a mistake, what have you. That is both bullshit, and you know it, even if you won't admit it because of your fucking YouTube persona. Then if you don't cease and desist, just know you're opening yourself up because that's not like regular defamation. You know, people try to say that there's a bigger burden of proof in civil courts and you got to prove. When somebody is explicitly not ever been charged as a murderer or convicted and the facts are out there that I showed you through the AI fucking search results of the fucking report and news sources and everything else, then guess what? That's defamation per se. I don't have to fucking prove that. The fucking facts alone prove it in and of itself. So it don't matter what opinion or narrative you want to draw up and put up on the internet. It's going, and people can say, "Oh, you've been saying that for you." Yeah, I have, and I've been saying it without a lot of knowledge on it. And I've got two other shit going on in my life and have the last few years that, you know, what time have I put aside to contacting lawyers or anything to do with? Not a lot. Just like the day when I was on your panel, Andrea, and I said I was going to contact over fucking PJ. I didn't. They wanted to go on Deadlies and say that I did. And where they fucked up is they said, why'd you contact CPS? CPS? You wouldn't even contact CPS and them nuts? So that there you go right there. That and then once they realize that, then they start changing it to the police. I ain't contact anybody on them, but I see, and I'm not going to unless I see one more threat. Maybe I just should go ahead and do it. I mean, fuck, being on panel saying you're gonna slice my neck, that's pretty goddamn open and direct. Man, Supreme, I appreciate you coming by. I am been doing okay, man. I'm sorry I haven't been to your channel, but I have just not been on YouTube that much except here and there, and lessening my consumption of it on here because honestly, it's not a positive space to be in all the time unless I'm at a place like yours or somewhere else. I, I've spent most of the time since I've been on here with the channel and everything, majority of the time, defending myself, fighting against something, just shit that I shouldn't even have to do. And they can say that they cause and make me do it. No, my brain and stuff in mind decides like, hey, based on this reason or another logically I think of that I need to debunk or do this because of that. You know, and just like me and Andrea both talked about, they can react and bring me up and talk about me, or if I do something on a panel, which they didn't, and it's not as a result of something they've done, but just me, like going up on Andrea's and talking about something or whatever. Well, that's they're not reacting. That's why when I made that short earlier and Paula commented on it, I'm like, yeah, rent free, She was one of the first fucking 10 people to view that fucking thing and see it. I guess the Discord isn't the only place. I mean, I know YouTube notifications aren't that great, and I didn't tag them. So some of these people must have extra fucking apps or something that's giving them direct fucking immediate notification whenever I post or something. Gotta be. Just gotta be. Well, no, I say I'm sorry, man, because you've been cool with me. You've I'm a mod at your channel. Like in a way, being a mod and stuff, I feel like you know I need to try to be there at least sometimes or once every now and then or whatever. But I've just not been consuming a lot of YouTube. I've been trying not to, you know, and I still consume and look at some, but you know, it's just it is what it is. But I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate you stopping by, and I've been doing all right for the most part. I got to go out of town tomorrow. Apparently, I've just been notified that fucking people from out of town are here in Haiti. I don't know why they ain't shown up yet, or why I went today when I went walking, or fuck any time here, shown up at all or made their presence known. But apparently, I got people out of town that intending to do me harm or whatever, or don't like me, what have you, that don't live here. And Berlinetta warned me I need to watch my back. alright. I'm glad that I always use my screen recorder and stuff now when I go up on panels and stuff because I don't have to ever worry about if the screen gets taken down or nothing and I catch all that shit. I ain't gonna be like a fucking arrogant ass and say, "Well, I wish a motherfucker would." No, I don't. I don't wish somebody would. I don't want to, have to be in a situation where I gotta, go through the process of fucking suing somebody or going to court or any of that type of shit. But I am to the point where, like, enough is fucking enough. Enough is enough. And now with this newer, with the more educated info that I have, you know, I'm not gonna keep standing by and letting people do stuff like that. Like, and coming on live and talking about it is a waste of fucking time and isn't accomplishing anything. So, what I need to be doing is I need to be handling it offline. That's what I need to be doing. That's what I need to be doing. Yeah, they want every piece of the corner, drag every live streamer off their topic into drama. Exactly. Exactly. So, cease and desist with the fucking bullshit false murder accusations, or, well, you know, you understand that I can and will do something about it. It might not be overnight, what have you, but, and you can bring up and show whatever past thing where I've uh, recalled stuff and, like I can't ever get things wrong. I was assuming that was probably, going, but like the report said, there was no fucking, what you call it? Um, there was no skid marks, which would indicate heavy braking, which would indicate like I seen them come out, and if I had not been speeding, like should have been able to stop and avoid them, but there was no skid marks, which would indicate heavy braking, which would indicate speeding. And when they get your black box recorder, they know your speed. They know if the seatbelt fucking was engaged. They know if you did make a large turn or something. They know if you swerved. They know everything, every little detail. If the fucking radio was on. They know all that shit. So, whatever. You know what I'm saying, Andrea. And whatever post this is from Ghost from a while ago about Deadly, which I will look at, even though I try to make a point of it not to fucking give any of y'all shit fucking views and what have you. It is what it is. But just because I go up on his panel and I say, hey man, like I know we ain't really fucking cool or nothing, but hey, I appreciate one person, one individual to another. That when dude said, y'all been on here supporting this pedophile, William Brooklyn, that you said, hey, you really can't say he's a pedophile. I'm going to say, for myself, he's not a pedophile. You know, I know he's not a pedophile. Now, you can say what you want, but I mean, come on a basic level, just being real, how can you not, on some level, respect that? Like I said, I don't like him either. He fucking said that shit about my niece. And then even a while ago, he tried to say, you don't have a niece. Dude, what would it matter if somebody has a niece or not? When you say you're going to GRAPE somebody's niece and CUM in them, if I didn't have a niece, it doesn't matter. That's still fucked up. But I do. I have nieces, all right? I have cousins. I have people related, to me that have fucking children, all right? Just because I don't have kids, don't mean I don't have relatives that don't have kids. And those relatives that have kids, if they're not my cousins, then they're my nephews and nieces. You know, if my brother has a kid, that's my nephew or my niece. If my fucking cousin from an aunt or uncle has a kid, that's my nephew or my niece. And I have a bunch of relatives, a bunch of them have kids. And I don't just have one niece, I have a couple nieces, and I have a couple nephews. Period. That's a fact. So when somebody says that, like, and then that's their response, like, well, you don't have a niece. Well, they're partially correct. I have nieces. So which one are you talking about? That was my response. So no, I don't like him, but I can still respect the instance of him correcting somebody trying to say I'm a pedophile when I'm not, and him addressing that because most people that don't like you would just let anything get said about you. So, but whatever this thing that Ghost shared in me, I'm going to say this. Why don't none of y'all go on his panel then? Why do you give him attention? Why do you go to his live, etc.? If you've seen behavior like that, like they don't want people coming to my chat and they want people to go to the Snipe channel, even though they've never seen, they make it up and say, oh, that October stream, I showed a picture that was CP, they say. That was the bullshit allegation. All right, then. Here again, we're in the month of November. So it's been over a year now. And not one inquiry, nobody must have turned it in because I would have been inquired into. I have stated publicly I would give my laptop up warrantless, meaning on my own consent, because I don't have nothing to hide on my laptop. You could say, "Oh, you scrubbed it, whatever." But they've said now I burned 3 laptops in fucking 18-month period. Like I could afford 3 laptops in an 18-month period. And before you say, "Oh, your grandpa would bought them," my grandpa, as nice as he is and much as he loves me, is not going to stand and would not like, oh, he's not going to ask any questions or be resistant to buying 3 fucking laptops, one after the other, in an 18-month period, wondering what the fuck is going on with the laptops. He didn't even buy my current laptop. I got some of the money from my brother, and the rest of it I had. That's how I bought my current laptop. One I had from 2018 to 20, was it 2020, 2021? That's the one that got scrapped into the burn pile in the backyard of our original family home. So when Triple T has said, like he did not too long ago, that when he threatened to have black hat hackers, and then he said, didn't you know the next day he burned that laptop? All right, well, I didn't come on here until summer of 2022. He didn't make that threat until fall, winter 2022, or early 2023. We moved out of the family home before the second half of the year of 2021. So how in the fuck does that compute? Because we didn't have a burn pile when we lived at the place where people like to bring up when I had my fucking discharge. We didn't have a burn pile there. It was a smaller house for rent, had a small backyard, no burn pile. We don't have a burn pile here where I live currently. It's a fucking communal, renting uh, housing place. We don't have, but they wouldn't let us burn shit back here. The only place you can burn shit in the city limits is on your own property, not rental. Well, if the rental property place might have a burn pile or don't care if you have one, maybe. But here again, when we lived over there before I had that discharge accident, that was before he made that threat. Because we had to move out. Remember, after that, we had 30 days and had to move out, and we came over here. That was in the summer of 2022. I hadn't had that shit with Triple T happen yet. They got the archives. They can go back and see when that stream was. Hell, that threat got made over at Fusions. So he should have it. Look at the date on the stream. Oh my god, don't ever say this. Well, it was I can't say accidental because accidental would be a it would be like if I had a SIG P320 or something at the time and it went off on its own, like it did like with the airmen and stuff, or that police officer is walking in the lobby and all of a sudden, boom, gun goes off while it's in the holster. A negligent discharge is where a person is not following and being prudent on their firearm safety, or uh, is doing things improperly, showing off, what have you. Or it could just simply be not being mindful and thinking that the gun is clear without, again, checking. That's why when I've watched videos on YouTube and stuff, people say, I don't care if a minute ago you went through there and looked and you remember very clearly, that it was clear. Before you do anything again, or especially dry fire or whatever, or disassemble it, anything, he said, triple check it. Check it again. Before you do any new anything action with that item or weapon, you check it again. Period. Because you can never not be too safe. You don't ever point them at anything that you're not willing to destroy. You don't sweep yourself with it. A lot of people, when they pull out, they'll move it, and they'll have it. It'll be pointed at their leg, their body, whatever. And you say something. Well, I didn't point it at anybody or you, or no, you just sweeped yourself with the firearm. You pointed at yourself. Have anyone ever seen on videos on YouTube where somebody will literally look down the barrel of their gun? They'll be like, I just showed y'all it was empty and the magazine's out. So you don't point it at anything you're not willing to destroy. You just don't do it. It doesn't matter if it's fully safe or whatever, because guess what? There might be a time when it's not safe and you've been used to doing that stupid shit, and then you do it, and then boom, there you go. Now you're in heaven or hell. There's no respawn. Like, that's it. Well, you can say that, whatever. I'm not giving really firearm advice. I'm saying in general that you shouldn't do that. Take it from somebody who's been through a fucked up experience and had a fucking instance where they fucked up. Take it from me. Don't take it from me. I'm not saying anything that's wrong, am I? Are you saying that me saying you shouldn't triple check or check again before you know, you don't have to take my advice, but you can't say that I'm saying anything that's incorrect. I've been through hunter safety course and a CCW course. I should have known better. With the condition of it being getting jammed, because it was not broken in and everything. And the fact that I had just, had unracked and was racking ammo up out of it, I should have checked it again. But no, I assumed, thank God I had pointed downward toward a baseboard in my house and the wall, because, and thank God nobody was home. That's another thing they like to lie about. Somebody was home and he almost shot a baby. Ended up only hitting a refrigerator. There wasn't nobody home. My granddad wasn't even home because it was a fucking Sunday. It was during church hours in the morning. So no, nobody was home next door. Thank God. There were no residents next door that were minors. You know, it was a single person's home. But thank God that person, an individual, was not home. Regardless if it, just the fact, I mean, I, I got, I wouldn't say, maybe I'd say blessed or lucky. I really wouldn't. I just happened to not have a catastrophic or very fucked up tragic situation. I had a bad enough situation, embarrassing situation, and a fuck up on my part, an accident. It wasn't intentional, but still, it was negligence and an accident. And I just fortunately, that's the way it turned out. But I tell you one thing, we'll never forget that experience. And, you know, I hate the fact that as a result of that, it didn't just affect me. You know, I mean, and I should have been cited for discharging firearms city limits, and they said that's probably what would have happened because they could tell that what it was. But no, they tried charging me with something else because again, that chief was there, and that was after the incident of me filming him. And so that's what they came back with. They didn't arrest me. They just served me with a summons that I had court. But when I got served, the person that served me, I started to, get nervous and was like, well, what? I was freaking out a little bit. Um, he said, "Hey, Ian," he said, "answer this question for me." And I'm not going to share everything, but he asked me a question. I said, "No." He asked me one more question. I said, "No." He said, "You got nothing to worry about." He said, "I'd," he said, "I'd be surprised if you have to make more than one appearance." Guess what? I didn't have to make any appearance. Well, maybe I did make one appearance. See, I can't remember fucking everything, but it was dropped because the charge. No need to go further into it, but what they charged me with, one, if you look at the definition of it, you know, there's things that you'd have to prove there that in the actual report from the officer that it came out initially when I called, and they came out, they looked at it, they took the casing, they took the freaking uh, weapon, they went next door, surveyed that, all that stuff. They noted in there certain things they observed and stuff. And so obviously, probably when that was reviewed by the prosecutor and stuff or brought up, they're like, well, fuck, this shouldn't even, drop, dismissed, And, Charlie, this stuff with Charlie, like a while ago, Barlinetta was up on panel at Deadly's. And I find it funny that, it's like, I wasn't talking shit. Okay, I don't know what you call it then. But, I'm just trying to fucking change certain things. And if I see something that's fucked up, I'm going to note it. She jumped up. Now, isn't jumping up, when you see somebody you don't like on a panel and you jump up there, and you immediately start interrupting and trying to, is that not a reaction? Does that not mean that they got triggered? Trying to frame me, no, no. I mean, I guess she had enough presence of mind that she couldn't indicate he's not a pedophile, he's an elderphile, whatever. What the fuck is that? I'm like, oh man. If I had never worked in caregiving and didn't have clients that were mostly male or what have you, they wouldn't even be able to say that. But because I did, then they have to say that. I don't fucking understand it. And here's another contradictory thing. You say stuff like that. They've said stuff uh, making fun of me and Saul, right? My friend Saul. Now, Saul, what has he ever done to them? Nothing. And he's deceased. They made fun of him, and then on opposite occasions tried to say he left him alone, didn't check on him. He caused that man to die. He neglected him. Are you fucking kidding me? You can't be caring and try to put on this facade of like a front that you care and you want to point out and be an advocate and da 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 da, and then later on talk about his fucking stupid foot and say, well, I don't know who was pitching and receiving. Maybe Saul would pitch. You know, while he's deceased and you're fucking insulting him. But then here a while back or here a couple days later, you're gonna fucking act like that you know, you're caring and you're wanting that. Oh my god. I'm happy I was able to get Troll News off the ground and troll everyone as I went along. What do you mean, Andrea? Yes, it was just dismissed that easy. And the reason why, like I said, was because if you looked at the charge and the definition, and then you looked at the police report and all the facts, and the fact that they even said and indicated, and it was probably on body cam. They said, like uh, clearly, it was a mishap, an accident. He said, and that he brought up, you know the difference between negligent and accidental discharge. I was like, no, what's it? He said, well, he said, I'm not saying that you was twirling the thing around or whatever, and that negligence. He said, but if you failed to double check before dry fire practice or whatever, he said that's negligent. He said you should all before you do anything, you should always double check that chamber. He said I don't care if you just had someone standing next to you and they saw it was clear and you did too a minute ago. He said that you just he said that's what you do. He said it's better to be redundant and totally sure and safe than to be, I'm pretty sure, 98% sure. I'm saying, because that sometimes or no, that other 2% is going, it's gonna be an issue. You the odds probably, the odds are gonna tip in the favor of the minority sooner or later. So, but I don't think he was. That officer obviously isn't the one that pressed for the charges. I guarantee you the chief did. I guarantee the chief gave his opinion because he probably is the one that submits all the reports finally to the prosecutor. Prosecutor goes along with it because they usually work with the chiefs. And then when count, I don't even remember if we got counsel on that or not or had to, but it was either my attorney brought up something or the prosecutor noticed it on their own and it just got dismissed because it didn't line up clearly, especially considering the fact when they look at it and they see, well, he got told that he would be cited with a city citation, a city infraction of, if people go out here and shoot a gun off during 4th of July, which you're not supposed to do, you can in the country all you want, but you can in the city limits. Well, you're subject to $150 or something fine for discharging in the, sorry, Andrea, but for shooting in the city limits. So keep all my ammunitions. I don't have problems. Well, here's the other thing. When you're dry firing practice and stuff now, like they have dummy rounds and stuff, which obviously, not everybody, but that's just another reason why you should. And when you watch channels, you hear people say, and they do videos on YouTube, they state clearly, I've got no live ammunition around when they're demonstrating something or showing one off because, or, showing the functions of one without live firing because it's not just YouTube guidelines, but it's gun safety. I mean, and if they have dry fire systems that are electronical, and if you're just going to dry fire the old fashioned way, you still should never have live ammunition around you. And not only that, if you want to have something in the mag, or you should have dummy rounds. That eliminates, any possible, mishap, accident, negligent. Just you get what I'm saying. Charlie the panty stiffer. Dude, Charlie, did you see that short I uploaded, Andrea, where Charlie was like, oh, he like, let rest in peace to the Hogans. Let's pray for him. Oh, dear Lord, I'm sorry they had to go through that, and hope they're resting in peace. Who the fuck prays and says, I hope they're resting? Duh, they're resting in fucking peace. What do you think? Heaven has days when it's not peaceful? You fucking, like, it doesn't even make sense. Just like when he said, they're gonna be happy that they're on TV when he was recording that fucking shit at the ballpark. Like they're ever gonna be aware that they were fucking recorded or streamed by you. He just says shit that just is just defies fucking, makes me lose brain cells hearing it. And then says, and we're so sorry that their estate had to pay $30,000. The estate, there you go again. And person that brought up, like, it doesn't matter if the estate, it was the insurance, your attorney initiated that. Dude, when a report comes back and you see you're not at fault with an accident, are you telling me, any of you, are you going to tell me that you're not going, number one, your insurance will usually contact you, or if not, you'll contact, but unless the fucking uh, report is not clear, because sometimes there can be cases where, there's contributing factors on both sides that could have caused, or there are situations where shit is not conclusive and it's stated, and in those situations, I bet an insurance company is not going to just pay out. But when it is factually clear, based on a third party like the State Highway Patrol, at what fault was the accident? Why would an insurance company? What sense does it make financially, legally, etc., for them to want to fight it and contest it when they could just pay out, you know, because usually when an insurance company goes to somebody and says, we'll pay out, they're hoping most of the time, especially if there's no contesting, that the other party's going to accept. They're not going to try to get more out of them. Hell, we're trying to write them a check right now or whatever. So why would it, unless of course they came to you and say, we'll give you $1,000 when you had full coverage insurance. I mean, come on now. Just use your head. So nobody's shit got sued. Especially nobody's estate got sued. And people have kept saying, "Oh, because I originally told it," and I said, "Well, they said, oh, they don't have any daughters." Well, they're factually that is correct again, but they had sons, and those sons were married. So maybe in my recollection, I didn't specify because I probably didn't ask them. Well, how are you related or whatever? Oh, and they say, "Oh, I'm the daughter-in-law." So I just assumed it was the daughter and or granddaughter. It didn't happen though. I'm just making it up. What that's what they say. Fucking, it's just it's idiotic. It's moronic. I've never had to bring this up or debunk or defend anything about this, of course, until online. And it's not like I was watching something earlier from Asmon Gold's stream. There's this one chick. I shared it on my community wall if you want to go look at it. She is getting sued by Ethan Klein, right, for malicious copyright infringement. And apparently, according to Asmon, because he said, "How is it not malicious?" Because she said, they can't really sue me over malicious. So I think the suit will, I'm hoping. He said, "How is it not malicious when we all saw you on the stream say that you wanted to?" We've all seen these people say for years, "Don't be going over to Squares, give him the view. We want the views and stuff." So how is that not malicious as well? We want to, fuck make him miserable. So that's malicious by definition. And I saw that and I said, hmm, no wonder that they try to say stuff like, well, you can't really sue because, you know, it's all opinions. And we had a little disclaimer where it's just opinion, just like Charlie saying, I'm just doing comedy. He actually said, it was comedy the day that that Happy Meal got delivered. He said I had never seen a Happy Meal get delivered, but that was just comedy. Somebody could not like the fact that they're part of the comedy or part of the joke, but it's just comedy. We ain't bullying nobody. When I heard him say that, I said, "Dude, do you not realize you're telegraphing that you are nervous as fuck to being looked at and held accountable in the light of you still trying to do troll like behavior, like when you supported and did when you were hiding out over at the Workyverse, that you're justifying to yourself and your audience on live stream that this is all comedy. You just talked about the death of two people and saying that I like shit. He was talking about he likes bananas up his tailpipe, but it's a free country. I'm just doing comedy." Dude, you can say you're doing comedy. You can have the disclaimer. Let that shit go before fucking 12 people and a judge, or just even a judge in a fucking civil thing, and let's see them agree with you. You think, like, people fucking amaze me, man. We're all internet, but there are people, there's a spectrum and levels to it. Yeah, well, look, his his YouTube thing, the fact that he can still come on here and have a prep. Like if I had came on here and said the shit that he said about all I had, like I've got it on my short where he says, "All I had to do," and this is a quote from Charlie D. Let me specify this. Or someone tries to clip it and say it's something I done, they probably still will anyways, even though I'm specifying this. But all I had to do, he said, was wait that one bitch out. It just cost one more bottle of the extra alcohol. He said, "I waited her out, and then she's drunk, and she was back there and had a place to lay down, and if she needed to throw up." And I said at that point, I was like, "This motherfucker's got it all laid out like a Betty Crocker recipe. He done thought of everything."
Like, if I had said something like that, I would be number one. You should be fucking nervous, and he ought to be fucking worried that someone eventually is gonna fucking turn that shit in, and his ass gets investigated and hopefully charged, and they track the fucking person, the girl down or whatever that he supposedly done this shit to. I'm not even gonna say supposedly because he straight up said, matter of fact, he did it, so he did it, you know. And if you're not concerned about that, which he obviously isn't, like, what did he do with her? She fucking missing or something? Like, he's got no concern over that. He's got no concern to have still addressed it and talked about it. You know, like, I don't get it. Like, you talk about would you even call that? Just so arrogant. Just I don't know what you would call it, but it's like having no self awareness, no uh, reflection, no. I don't know, but I would think anyone else that said that, and normally, yeah, he didn't even sound drunk when he said that stuff. You know, I could see somebody being fucked up and saying and divulging that, but he just divulges it straight out, and then referred to her and another one, the other one as beast, and saying they was making the truck hang over. And then in another stream, he's like, "No, that was the shocks." Like, motherfucker, we. Okay, so now it was the shocks. The shocks caused the truck to hang over. He just, oh god, Charlie is something else, man. He had a stand-up gig in an adult bookstore. Yeah, what was in the bookstore? Fucking, he probably had in his little bookstore, fucking vintage detective magazines with his old Ted Bundy wannabe ass. Ted Bundy and that dude that interviewed him, that Dobson dude. Even the FBI profiler interviewed him. He specified, especially in the recreation movie, No Man of God. They go into it how he was interviewing Ted, and Ted said, or during the interview, the profiler said, Hagmeyer, he said, you know what the real issue is? He said, it's not really the pornography. He said, it's the merging in pornography of sex with violence. He said, that is the dangerous part. He said, even in so called role play and, or he said, magazines, and he's like, yeah, like the detective magazines, you know. So apparently, back in the day, there were these so-called detective magazines that were pornographic and showed like BDSM type of stuff or what have you, and that was thought of, and kind of Ted leaned into blaming sort of that. Ted even said that those he said those aren't just he said they are instruction manuals for how to get away with it. That's his words, not mine. That No Man of God movie is a real good movie. Really good acting, and even the real Bill Hagmeyer said that the guy that portrayed him. Hold on. So Elijah Wood is who played Bill Hagmeyer in No Man of God, and he done a really good job. I thought that movie Nefarious, which is like one of those movies that didn't go to theaters or whatever. It's about a demon possessing a prisoner. I don't know if any of y'all have seen Nefarious, but Nefarious, God, I watched that here recently, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's free on YouTube. Yeah, it is. You can go watch it for free. That movie, Nefarious, really riveting and make you get goosebumps type of film. The guy that played the prisoner, he had to alternate and play two different people, the demon and the prisoner's own self. the way he was able to switch and go back and forth, like it's just like the movie Legend that Tom Hardy played, where he plays the two twins from London that were real. What was their names? Oh fuck, what was their names? God, I can't think of their name. Who were those? The Cray twins. The Crays. That was really good too. Charlie was a clown or Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, such a gentleman. No rules. It was. Oh my God! Don't even say some stuff like that. I'm deleting that. Don't say that stuff. Birthday party. No, don't say that. Hit the glory holes every now and again. Now that's all right, I guess. No recording devices were allowed in the bookstore. Where did you witness this and why aren't you sharing it? What are you talking about? Stop that false narrative, spinning Squizzy. What false narrative? I ain't doing no false narrative. I seen old Chucky Buckets from your live stream, Andrea, bring me up, and that's the other thing. He still thinks he's like these trolls that he's still bringing me up. I think he brings me up still and talks about me as a defense mechanism and trying to curry favor is like, well, look, y'all, I still hate Squizzy. I ain't all that bad. Like, dude, they have been making memes talking about no teeth, no peace. They have auctioned off your jacket and shit. They have depicted you in a straight jacket and different things. They have depicted you in things with children and so, little memes. You know, trick or treat. When it was Halloween, I remember seeing them saying, you know, be aware of Charlie. And if he thinks, like, here's what he don't realize. Here's the rub. Just like when Gene Team liked to have me on the panel for attention and to use me for so-called comedic relief and stuff, and really didn't see me as an equal like the rest of them there. They're doing the same thing with Charlie D right now, and he's too thick-headed to fucking see it. He's too thick-headed to see it. So he just hangs out over there and he plays right into them. And you can tell with certain comments and remarks they make every now and then, like, God dang, Charlie, why'd you have to do that? Like, they are fucking clowning on you, you fucking fool. And you know, I'm not trying to act like a know it all because trust me, you know, I've been in that situation. That was me at one time. I'm fucking speaking from even experience here. Like, I don't even know why I'm pointing it out, you know, because fuck him. He deserves it in a way, I feel like. Hell, he really deserves more than that. You know, fuck just being clowned on at a panel. But the fact that they do that with what he's admitted, and then like a while ago, old Beastinetta tries to bring up false narratives towards me again, you got no leg to stand on, unlike fucking Seth. You're letting somebody up on your panel hanging around them, even if it is for comedic relief or to fucking use him, who fucking admitted to fucking causing somebody to overconsume alcohol so you could take advantage of them. What moral fucking high ground do you have to judge me? Seriously, not a goddamn one. None. Not one. You know, Deadly ended the stream abruptly, but that's cool. He probably didn't care to stay up there while Berlinetta did her thing and shit, but you know, then why bring her up? You know, but you got to remember he's fucking drunk, so he's drunk paneling, which nobody do not recommend you do. But yeah, so I'm gonna check. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna check this thing out from Ghost, and just like I said when I shared it, you know, depending on what I see, which I'm not expecting it to be good, so I won't, I will not be going back over there after I see this. Uh, and anybody else that does, it's convenient for them to judge people and do this stuff, but yet you go and you give them views, you go and participate in their chat, you jump up on their panel, but you want to throw shade at me for being up there? Not Charlie being drunk, but fucking, I'm talking about Deadly. He's snorting those Oxycontins. See, I never snorted my pills when I took my pain when I was on pain meds back in the day in an addiction. I always took them, but I did get to a point to where I was like, either they would be crushed up with a crusher, or I'd just straight up sometimes, you know, chew them up and swallow them. Which is not that. That's how you know that you're you're getting bad or already at the point, because the only time people do that is so they hit them faster. But if you're snorting them, that's even hitting them. That'll make it's not instant, but it's within a couple minutes. You go past, you bypass the first pass metabolism. If you take something orally, it has to go through your first pass metabolism, and you lose a lot of it, and the bioavailability isn't as strong. But if somebody's snorting them, or especially if they ever IV, IV is 100% bioavailability. It's within 10 to 20 seconds, it's hitting your heart, and blood is being carried to your brain. But snorting, it's not as fast, but it's still bypassing that. It still gets into the blood, and it bypasses your GI tract. So that's if he really is doing stuff like that, like he's in bad addiction. That's like old Nurse Jackie. That show Nurse Jackie. That's what she was doing. She was snorting roxycodone. Yeah, that's why I almost relapsed that one day. I was just about to snort, but if I had snorted that day and gotten to that point, and the cops hadn't had, shown up from people fucking around on the phone, it would have been, from what I've read and gathered, it just would have been a desperate attempt. But being on that medicine already for that length of time and stuff, it wouldn't have done nothing. It would not have done nothing. Now, with no tolerance and being off of it, it probably would, But when you're on, you used to take buprenorphine. When you're on that stuff, like I've read a bunch of stuff online, forums and stuff, because I get interested in the technical aspects of stuff, and I read up on it. Just about any medicine I've ever taken, prescribed, what have you, I've searched and looked up it online. People have said that I've seen people comment and say to people, like, don't even bother if you're on this daily, or you already have a regular full agonist opioid addiction. They said if you do that, you're going to go on precipitate withdrawals. He said, but you might as well not ever even try or worry about the effort of snorting them, or much less even doing them for IV, because things like blue light and stuff, they're harm reduction sites. But you have people that will get on there and document their experiences and stuff. And I think somebody had asked, like, what is the effects of this, like snorting versus oral versus like even IV. And he said no. He said none. He said unless you've got no tolerance, he said there's no difference in the effects. He said because it's a long acting medicine. That medicine is already, if somebody's been taking it already, it's saturated their receptors. So when they do it in a quicker delivery type method, it's not going to do anything because the receptors are already saturated. So you're wasting your time. Yeah, but the faster delivery, even though it technically delivers it faster, if you've taken the medicine regularly and have been, especially if you just took it the day before or whatever, that stuff lasts for like 48 to 72 hours before it starts being eliminated from your system. So, and at that time, I was prescribed it daily. So, if I had actually gotten and been able to do that day and hadn't been interrupted, I mean, it wouldn't have done anything. All it would have done is got it in my system quicker, but because my receptors were already activated with it from the previous day's dose, it wouldn't have done a thing. But that, I mean, you know, that's that was yeah, that's why you shouldn't let yourself and be mindful about feeling sorry for yourself, because that wasn't a healthy way to try to cope with anything or whatever. And I regret even trying to do that. Like, it's not a fucking proud moment. But that's addiction for you. Even when in recovery, uh, people are always at risk when they're in recovery. Even, and you got to be mindful of things. You got to be mindful. Regular people can't handle pain. I don't take pain, but I could handle pain. But my pain really started to go up when I had broken my sacrum, knee, and femur. Um, and I wasn't even aware I had back issues. So when I went and got that MRI, and there's also the mental aspect. When you're made aware, like, oh, hey, you additionally also have these other issues, and da 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 da, that your mind plays tricks and hype. I think the brain probably in mine thinks more like, you're more aware of, oh man, I got all these things that are causing me pain, and therefore you feel more intense pain. There's a mental aspect to it too. Flight of steps, almost broke my hip, no pain meds, just ice pack and cried like a puss. Yeah, I mean, at one point they didn't prescribe opioids ever for dental stuff, even unless it was like root canal maybe or wisdom teeth. And when I was going to the dentist and having a regular just cavities or a tooth pulled, I was being prescribed not a bunch or nothing, and they wouldn't give me a refill or have refills listed on it, like back when they could still refill that stuff. But they would give, I remember usually being given between 8 to 12 Norcos for a pulled tooth. Can you imagine giving somebody 8 to 12 10 milligram Norcos for a pulled tooth? I mean, when I got my wisdom teeth done, shit, I didn't just get one script. I got another. There was I got a refill. The old 10 500s. I, I mean, that wasn't necessary. Maybe a week's worth of them for that, but definitely none for a pulled tooth is needed. Norco's is hydrocodone, Andrea. It's the brand name. All right, well, I need to probably get me some more rest. I got to get up early. I don't want to oversleep. It's not called Narco, it's Norco. Norco. Norcos. The only reason why I know that is because dentist assistants and stuff would refer to it as that. They'd be like, before you leave, he gave you an antibiotic prescription, clindamycin, whatever, and Norco. That's what they would say. So, all right, yep. Good night, Andrew. You have a great day. Rest of you have a great day. Um, Repeating one more time, anyone that wants to still alter the facts or what have you, I'm asking you to cease and desist, because it's just the right thing. Uh, you know, I pretty much got the feeling, fuck you and your cease and desist. All right, hey, if that's your position, fine. Just know that I, I'm just stopping myself. Why even continue? Like I'll tell you, Andrea, I've been made privy more to stuff lately, and listening to other YouTubers involved in stuff that have their own legal type issues that are similar. And we've got one that's close to this community, inquisitive archivist, that deals with that Danny dude. She got a $10,000 judgment from him. Every day or whatever days that it's not paid, or every payment that's missed, there's like an interest that's a couple dollars that builds up per day or something. I forgot what she had said specifically. I don't want to misquote her. And if she can get that done, then I can definitely get something done about people wanting to continue to label me as a murderer and misrepresent an event, which they can go and ask AI themselves. You don't want to take my AI shared thing for it? Go ask the exact same thing I asked. You know, they're accusing me of having AI write the stuff just the way I want it to. Well, apparently, I guess they're not wrong. You can do that. But I'm not somebody that uses AI all the time. But I just know you can go to AI and ask it certain things, and it will go and it will scrub the web. I think what it is they do that with their AI, so they want people to think I'm doing it with mine. So, whatever. Yeah, Paula and all them. Yeah, see, they try to say, good luck suing us. You're not going to get much or whatever. Well, maybe not individually, but build one, two, three, four of you up collectively. It starts to add up, don't it? Charlie's gonna get that 2,000. You best. What 2,000? I could sue Charlie over him lying to the guy. I can't get anything done criminally because the statute of limitations done passed, but I could get him for that. You know, call me a murderer, rapist. Those are defamations per se. Meaning, if I don't have a murderer charge or the other type of charge, you're guilty. You know, there is no opinion, whatever, like you've stated it as fact. You can't state something as fact and then at the bottom of the screen have it saying this is opinion. Like, because it's contradictory. It's contradictory. And no judge is gonna fucking fall for that. And no jury is gonna fall for that. Well, look, I'm not saying trust AI, but if you ask AI about a specific event and have them check official fucking sources like news, highway patrol reports, and stuff, I mean, they're not going to be biased unless, of course, like these motherfuckers have indicated from their own subconscious of guilt. And what they do is if you go in there and give it custom instructions on certain things. The only thing I did was I asked it to recheck everything, and because the vehicles were incorrect, it pulled up the first thing. You know how it can make mistakes. Well, it pulled up one of those sources where it states I was in the opposite type of vehicle. But in either case, it said in both responses, whether I was in one vehicle or the other, both of them, it still said I was not at fault. And it said that's unanimous from all the sources. They unanimously conferred that. So it is what it is. They want to keep bringing it up. I just need to document. I need to do what the instructions told me to do, but I'm going to ask to cease and desist because I don't like people think, oh, that's what he wants. He wants revenge. He wants that. No, I don't. I really don't. I don't want to have to deal with this shit another moment. And I keep allowing myself to do it. And I'm going to get to the point where I stop or keep. And I'm choosing to want to stop. But just like I gave fucking Glenn and them a warning again, like, I don't want to go that route. Why? Because it's something else to have to contend with. I got enough that I need to do and continue to work on with other stuff than to get into some fucking legal battle with multiple people or make another fucking or have to make a report with agencies and stuff and criminal proceedings and testify. Like, who wants to do that shit, honestly? I don't. Yeah, well, eh, you know what? And either that'll happen or I'll just fucking let it go. Because I got to keep in mind that people are smart enough to fucking see a lot of these channels for exactly what they are because they say themselves what they are. So why would you take their word for it on other stuff with it being serious? I need to remind myself of that. So in that instance, maybe I don't fucking have to if I keep that in mind. But it's just, you know, even somebody that don't have a job and stuff or what have you, or don't have any assets, they can be sued, and guess what? Unless you're going to stay perpetually with no assets or move forward in life, when you finally do, bills come due. When you have debt and you can't make payments currently, you might not be paying currently, but in the future, you will pay once you have money coming in, or else when they find out you have, because they check all the time periodically, garnishments, you get your shit garnished. So, just because somebody don't have shit doesn't mean that they're fucking protected from being sued. Yeah, text them in a YouTube strike battle, not real life. Alright, see y'all later. Have a good evening. Everybody rest well. Peace and blessings to all your families, even to you fucking trolls and people that so-called hate me out there. I wish peace and blessings on you. I really do. Okay? I mean that I seriously mean that. You know, you may not want to be level-headed and realize, and wish me peace or what have you, but I do wish y'all peace because you're missing something is missing out in y'all's lives to want to, just like, you point out, Andrea, when I'm not around, they go and they move on to somebody else. There is something seriously missing in your life when you have to go and seek out to put hate on others just as a fucking hobby or pastime on the internet. Like, I've said it before, I think it's an addiction. Just like they've said that when you post and stuff on social media, you get likes, that your brain fires dopamine hits and stuff. I think the same thing happens here on YouTube when they chuckle and stuff and get off on teaming up and going after people. I think the same. It's got to. It's got to be.